Okay, this is Motorcycle Crashes. I've been riding motorcycles for well over 35 years, and I never ever had an accident on a motorcycle. And then one day I went up to the top of Mount Mitchell. Mount Mitchell is in Colorado. It's a very high mountain, and I rode my motorcycle up to the top of the mountain, and at the top of the mountain is a is a restaurant. And I went into the restaurant and I had lunch, and then I was going to go back down the mountain. So I got on the motorcycle, and I did not even start the motor. I was going to coast down this mountain about 8 miles. So I had no reason to even start the engine. So I took off down the road, and I'm just coasting. It's really beautiful, absolutely beautiful, beautiful day. And I'm just going along real cool, and I'm coming around this bend, and all of a sudden the road is covered with gravel. I hit the gravel and went down, boom, and I hit the ground really, really hard, and I only slid about 5 feet. And where I came to rest, I was 2 feet from a 3,000-foot cliff. There was no guardrail or anything there to stop me from going off this cliff. But I stopped 2 feet before this cliff. If I had slid 10 feet instead of 5 feet, I would have went off that cliff and I'd have been killed. So that's how close I was, 2 feet from this 3,000-foot cliff. So all of a sudden I see a guy walking down the street. I don't know why, but he's walking down the street, and he comes running over to me. And he goes, "Are you okay?" Well, I broke my shoulder, and I'm laying on the ground, and I'm going, "Oh man, I'm in an awful lot of pain." He goes, "Well, I happen to be from Philadelphia, and I happen to be a paramedic. I'm going to try to help you." And he came over to me, and he gets down alongside me, and he's holding me, and he's going, "I don't want you to move a muscle. I want you to lay here perfectly still. Do not move a single muscle in your body, and we're going to see if we can get you some help." Well, all of a sudden, this lady shows up, and she comes up to us, and she goes, "I'm a nurse, and I'm going to try to help you." And I went, "Oh wow, I'm laying here on the ground. I got a trauma team by my side. This might be good, okay?" Well, the lady has got a radio with her, and she gets on the radio. She's talking on the radio, and she says, the ambulance is coming up the hill, but they're overheating. They're not going to make it. We got to get this guy off this mountain. The helicopter will be here in 3 minutes. Well, 3 minutes later, this helicopter comes and lands right in the middle of the road. They get me into the helicopter, and off I go, poof, 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 into the sky. And I go to the hospital, and this doctor looks at me, and he ends up putting a piece of steel in my shoulder, and he fixes me up, and everything is cool, and I'm okay. And then almost a year later, I'm taking another motorcycle ride, and I'm taking a long ride. I was on the road for 4 days. I went to this place down in Colorado called the $1 Million Highway. And it's a beautiful, beautiful road to take, and I just wanted to take this road on my motorcycle, and I did, and it was a wonderful, wonderful 4 days I spent in the mountains. Then I was headed back to Denver, which is where I was living at the time. I'm headed back to Denver, and I got to come right across the Rocky Mountains, and I'm way, way up in the mountains. I'm at about 12,000 feet elevation, and it was an absolute beautiful, beautiful day. And I'm riding, and I had my helmet on, and I wanted to take my helmet off just so I could feel the wind in my hair, you know, because you don't need a helmet in Colorado, and I wanted to take it off. But a long time before this happened, my son made me raise up my right hand and swear that I would never ride my motorcycle without a helmet. Well, I was thinking of him at this time, and I thought, well, I'll just leave the helmet on, because I told him I would not ride my motorcycle without the helmet on, so I just left it on. So I'm cruising along, and I'm only going about 25 miles an hour, and I'm coming around this bend. The road is covered with gravel. Oh shit, I hit this gravel, and I went bam, and I went down so hard, and I landed right on the top of my head. If I had taken that helmet off, my brains would have been splattered all over that street, because I know how hard I hit the road. I mean, I hit it hard. And boom, I'm crashed on the ground. And I'm laying there, and I broke my shoulder again, and I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm laying there. There's a guy that was just standing there. Why, I don't know. He comes running over to me, and he goes, "You okay, you okay?" And I said, "Oh man, I'm in a lot of pain." And he goes, "Well, I happen to be a paramedic. I'm going to try to help you." So he comes over to me and he gets down with me and he's holding me down. He's going, don't move a muscle, don't move nothing. Just lay here perfectly still. Well, there was a lady behind me in her car. She seen me go down. She pulls over, gets out of her car, comes over to us. She goes, hi, I'm a nurse. I'm going to try to help you. And I'm laying there going, deja vu. You know, like how can this happen to somebody, you know, in one lifetime? The exact same thing happening to me, exactly the same way. So the lady there is a nurse, okay? Well, a bunch of people did pull over there because they all seen what was going on. And in the mountains, your cell phone does not work. So this one guy, he goes, well, I'm going to have to drive down to the next city, and I'll call 911 for you, and I'll try to get an ambulance up here to help you out. Well, he takes off. I laid there on the road for over 2 hours. And finally an ambulance shows up, and they put me in the ambulance. And then the guys are trying to stick needles in me because they're trying to put morphine in me because I was in so much pain with my broken shoulder. And they could not get a needle in my vein to give me morphine, so they had to stop at what was a clinic. And they had to have the doctor in the clinic come out to the ambulance and put the needle in my arm so that they could give me morphine. And they did, and finally the pain was gone and I was okay. But because I had 2 of these accidents and they were so exactly the same, I figured I should take a hint. So I will never ever ride another motorcycle.